Hi, we're here at the Minor Chord Music Outfitters, and today we're talking about taking care of your trumpet. The most important thing in a trumpet, of course, are the valves. So every time you take your horn out before you play it, you're going to want to apply some valve oil to all of your valves. This is important for two reasons. First of all, because you want the valve to move easily, and secondly, because the oil protects the valve against the corrosion that's possible because of the acid that's in your breath and in your saliva and moisture from your mouth. Now let me show you a couple things about a trumpet valve. First off, to take the valve out, we unscrew the valve cap. And then the valve just slides out. Now when it's out, be very careful not to drop it or ding it, because any dent or scratch in this valve will make it stick and the horn won't be playable. Also, you want to see this valve guide. It's a plastic or maybe metal guide that helps the valve stay in position and keep from turning so that all these holes line up properly to the tubes in the trumpet. Finally, you'll see that each valve is stamped near the top with a number. This valve is number 1, that means it's the first valve, and we count the valves starting at the player's mouthpiece moving toward the bell. So this valve would be the valve closest to the player. Now, as I said, if you take the valve all the way out of the trumpet, that's dangerous because you could drop it, dent it, and make the horn unplayable. So when you put oil on your valve, don't take it out the whole way. I like to take the valve out just about this far, about a finger's width of the silver part of the valve showing. And then I put a couple drops of valve oil on this flat part of the valve piston. Now, you could never put too much valve oil on. If you put a lot on, it'll just come out the little hole in the bottom of the valve casing. That's okay. But the oil protects the valve. Besides making it move smoothly, it also protects it against corrosion. So it's good to use the valve oil liberally. When I put the valve back in, I'll turn it a little bit to distribute the valve oil. And as it comes close to the final point there, I can feel that valve guide drop into some slots that are down inside the valve casing. Once I feel that it's turned and the valve guide has dropped in properly, then I just finish the valve by tightening the cap on the top. Make sure that you have that threaded properly. Don't cross-thread it. It's a very fine thread, and it's easy to get it cross-threaded. Once we got the first valve done, we'll just work our way down and do the second valve and the third valve in the same way. Make sure you don't confuse those valves. First valve, second valve, third valve, they're stamped with the numbers. The number faces the player usually on most horns. Don't get the wrong valve in the wrong place because then the holes won't line up all these tubes. Once you have all the valves taken care of, you're going to want to check to make sure that your tuning slide moves smoothly. If your horn has, as mine does, the finger ring for the third valve slide and the first valve slide, you're going to want to make sure that those move freely as well. If they don't, you can use a little tube of tuning slide grease. Just pull the slide out a bit, apply the grease, it's like a chapstick, apply the grease there, smooth it out with your fingers, and close it up. You want all the slides to be moving smoothly. You don't want them to get corroded in place. It's a real problem to try to free those up once they get stuck. And that's how to prepare your trumpet for playing.